Hello, BookTube. I've got some mail for you today on a beautiful, beautiful, mild, sunny Monday. Cause for joy in the heart when weather gets like this, but there is no joy in Mudville. I'm in serious need of cheering up, and when I am in serious need of cheering up, I tend to go to Frida and also to you. But in this case, Frida is also in serious need of cheering up because we've had a house guest, David Murphy. The sometimes booktuber David Murphy has been our house guest for days. And all of the nervousness that you might feel when such a thing starts, it evaporated in about 15 seconds, and it was wonderful. It was just a wonderful visit. And I am not one of those people who has a house guest and then, on day 3 is secretly wishing for them to be gone. I didn't want this visit to end. So I'm feeling the place feels considerably empty. So I thought we'd chat. We'd chat over mail. That's never failed to help me before. I'm sure it will help me now. We have a few periodicals to look at, and then some packages, including a little box. I don't have much high hopes for them. The box is not big. For instance, there's The Nation. With the headline article is by Gary Young, and it's called Bridgerton and the Fantasy of a Non-Racist Past. Because in the hit show Bridgerton, there are black characters where there would not have been black characters in Regency England, where it simply wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have happened at all. So when you watch, for instance, that great first episode of Bridgerton, you realize immediately that there is a fantasy element here. It's just as simple as that. This scene right here would not have happened. It would not have happened. And I'm not criticizing Bridgerton, the show, for that, because the show is pure magic. The show is every bit as good as you've heard it is. If you haven't seen it, it's every bit as good as you've heard it is. But you do have that. There's that one momentary cognitive disconnect of that moment where you realize, oh, all right, so this isn't set exactly in Regency England. It isn't quite that. It's something else. So this article is no doubt going to be very interesting, although even this issue of The Nation is trying to depress me, because the very next thing is called The End of Growth by Kyle Pauletta, which is probably a name that David knows really well. And the description of the article is the degrowth movement argues that shrinking the economy is the only way toward an ecologically sustainable world. And that would have sparked a conversation, but not now. And there will be book coverage in here as well. So, and then the other periodical is the Vineyard Gazette, the Martha's Vineyard Gazette. There's a great, broadsheet newspaper on the island of Martha's Vineyard, which has, look at this cover photo. I mean, the cover photos are always incredible anyway, but look at that. Look at the detail there. That's just an amazing shot. Just amazing. I love the Vineyard Gazette, like anyone. I've spent a lot of time on the Vineyard, and like anyone, when you're on the Vineyard, you read the Vineyard Gazette. It's a local newspaper. It doesn't have to do with anything national at all. I don't think... I love the Vineyard Gazette even more now because I am the book reviewer, and I don't think there's a review of mine in this issue. I'm pretty sure that happens in the next number, but not in this one. Let's see. Am I right about that? Yes, I'm right about that. Okay, so no Steve book review in here, but still plenty of good reading. I love having a subscription. And then we'll do the packages. And the first one is a mailing envelope. It would ordinarily be a red light as a violation of rule number 1. Rule number 1 on this channel, for all of you who are new, is don't send me a book. Don't do it. Don't send me a book. No matter how much you think I love books, you're absolutely right. I do love them, but I know what I want, and I get what I want. So it would be a waste of your time and mine. But Mark Richardson of Richardson Reads, my fellow booktuber and my friend up in Vermont, is, of course, an exception to that rule. He can send me anything he wants. In fact, often up there in Vermont, he and his wife, Deb, will go and get comic books. They love their local comic shop. They have reason to. I've been there, and it's great. The staff is fantastic. And I have no problems with the staff of my local comic shop, but I don't get there anymore. They're not on my route. I probably need to change that rather than send through the bother of doing this. But they got me a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, fantastic. They got me the latest analog, and then a whole bunch of comics. Oh, fantastic. Look at this. All right, so what do we have here? A whole bunch of Dynamite Red Sonja. These are terrific. The job they do with Red Sonja is fantastic. I should probably one of you will know the logistics behind the legality here. Why is it that Dynamite can do Red Sonja comic books, but Marvel Comics can't? Why is it that when the rights to the Robert E. Howard stuff, like Conan or Kull or King Conan, went over to Marvel, Red Sonja didn't go with it? Is that because... I mean, I kind of want to think that it is a separate right, because Roy Thomas almost invented her out of whole cloth, and that might mean a separate thing. I mean, this the stereotypical chainmail wearing Red Sonja that's known really well is not in Robert E. Howard, so not in anything but name. I'm wondering if that's the reason why. Do any of you know if that's the reason why? I don't. I'm not complaining either way, because Dynamite does a great job. And then we have the second issue of the Justice League versus the Legion of Superheroes, which is a magnetically powerful buy for me, because it's the only place right now where the Legion of Superheroes is appearing anywhere in the DC universe. But there's almost an equal magnetic repulsion, because it's Brian Michael Bendis, who is awful. He's just... I have gone back and forth on this guy. I have tried to see the artwork, the artistry and what he does. He's just awful. That's the reason why he's confused me all these years, because he's just a rotten writer. And I was so distracted by the things he was writing about that I never quite nailed what was bothering me about it. And that's what's bothering me about it, is that he stinks. And the Legion has been in his hands exclusively since they were revived a few years ago for DC Comics. So, on the one hand, I get to see his version of the Legion, which is only barely recognizable as the Legion of Superheroes. And on the negative side, I have to put up with him. I have to put up with his dumb writerly mannerisms. And then there's a first issue. I'm very glad that Mark and Deb could find this. This is DC recently relaunched World's Finest, which has a long pedigree as a comic book. Long time. I mean, going back a long time. And it featured monthly team-ups between Superman and Batman. Usually Superman, Batman, and Robin. And I love those old World's Finest issues. I had hundreds of them. DC liked the idea of it, of course. Marvel, Superman and Batman are two of their greatest marquee characters. So it makes sense to have them in a comic book every month together. And for a long time, DC's version of that was a book they called just Batman Superman, or Batman and Superman. Some of those runs were pretty good. But it made me wonder. When I was buying those issues, I was thinking, okay, well, why not just call it World's Finest? That was its name for a long time. When your grandfather was buying comics, that was its name. They finally relaunched it as World's Finest #1. Written by Mark Waid, who does a really good job with standard costume-wearing superhero writing. He does a really good job with that. And look at this cover. Will you look at this cover? That is just so incredible. The bats, the manor, the Gotham City Police Department, Lex Luthor, the Joker. You've got Bane and the Kent Farm and the Daily Planet. And that is just an incredible cover. Just amazing. Even the color gradations, that we go from dark up to light and from Batman to Superman. Just fantastic. So, very much looking forward to it. Very much. So, a great deal of thanks to the good folks up in Vermont. And then we have the packages themselves. I don't think there are any other violations of rule #1. These are just from publishers. And none of them are really triggering my spider senses. So this could be a somewhat lackluster mail haul. Let's give it a try and see. It's good to talk to you anyway. So this place is going to feel, inevitably, a good deal lonelier until Frida and I get used to it again, until not having a guest. Okay, we saw this already. This is a collection of stories by Fernando Flores called Valleyesque. This is the finished copy. So this is what you're going to see in the bookstore, $16 trade paperback. It's kind of a rough matte finish. And this comes out on the first Tuesday in May. And it's a collection of psychedelic, dazzling stories set in the cracks of the Texas-Mexico borderland, from an iconoclastic storyteller and the author of Tears of the Truffle Pig. some of you may have read. It had a bit of circulation. It got a bit of critical press. So a short story collection, hot button issues, contemporary fiction. Probably I'm not the target audience, but this next one has some heft to it. This might be a finished copy, and those are always welcome. An April finished copy would be great. The package is misbehaving, but we can just use brute force to. Okay, yes, I think this is an April finished copy. Oh no, this is May. This is May. I think we saw this already. But this is the finished copy of the latest book every season, it seems like. There is an attempt by one author or another to understand Texas. Every season, somebody tries to understand Texas. Lawrence Wright did it. A whole bunch of people have done it. And sometimes those attempts are really good. Sometimes they make for really good reading. And this is one of those. This is by Sam Haynes, and it's Unsettled Land. From Revolution to Republic, The Struggle for Texas. Don't want to block the beam there. She's missing a playmate. Right now, we're both missing a playmate. Those long, late nights of talk and wine and food and video clips, just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So I was wrong. This is an April finished copy. This comes out in a week. Let's see here. A bold new history of the origins and aftermath of the Texas Revolution, revealing how Indians, Mexicans, and Americans battled for survival in one of the continent's most diverse regions. Steeped in lore and enshrined in myth, the Texas Revolution has been cast as one of the epic events of the American West, a saga filled with the thrilling exploits of larger-than-life figures like Sam Houston, Davy Crockett, William Barrett Travis. As the story goes, a handful of heroic Anglo-Americans waged war in the fall of 1835 to free Texas from repressive Mexican rule, with the conflict ending on a triumphant note at the Battle of San Jacinto in 1836. And this author says that standard narrative, which is in textbooks today, of course, because textbooks are mostly vetted, approved, and created in the state of Texas, this author is going to say that oversimplifies to the point of being outright wrong. I have the advanced copy. I have lived in Texas, and I wanted to get to the advanced copy, and I just haven't done it. Now I have the finished copy. That'll be good. That'll be a nice prompt to do that. And then the last thing here is the box, and it is overly taped, which would make me think it's from you and not a publisher, but it doesn't seem. It seems like it has a printed... yeah, it has a pub sheet, so it's not from one of you. So what have we got here? Is this an indie book of some kind? I love it when indie authors send me things. Yeah, this is as indie as it gets. This is by Elisa Speranza, and it's called The Italian Prisoner. Kind of a pretty cover there. What have we got here? Oak Bluff's summer resident, Elisa Speranza, has released a new novel. Wait a minute. Oak Bluffs? Is this a Vineyard Gazette read? We opened with the Vineyard Gazette. Oak Bluffs is ordinarily a Vineyard-centered book. Is something that I'm going to review for the paper. Well, anyway, what have we got here? Set in the Sicilian community of New Orleans' French Quarter, the book illuminates a true but little-known story involving Italian prisoners of war on the U.S. home front during World War II. The Italian Prisoner, set for publication April 11th, isn't that today? Or maybe it was last Tuesday? This is out now, anyway. Is an engrossing story of wartime love, family, secrets, and a young woman's struggle to chart her own course at an inflection point in American history. The book was a finalist in the William Faulkner William Wisdom Creative Writing Competition for Novel in Progress in 2019. Okay, so what is the story here? The novel's protagonist, Rose, lives with her Sicilian immigrant parents and helps in the family grocery store as World War II rages overseas. Rose knows she's expected to marry a local boy and start a family, but she secretly dreams of being more like her fiercely independent widowed godmother. Behind her parents' backs, Rose lands a job at the shipyard, where she feels free and important for the first time in her life. When the parish priest organizes a goodwill mission to visit Italian prisoners of war at a nearby military base, Rose falls for Sal, a handsome and intelligent POW. Italy has switched sides in the war, so the POWs are allowed out to socialize, giving Rose and Sal a chance to grow closer. When Rose gets a promotion at work, she must make an agonizing choice: follow a traditional path or keep working after the war and live on her own terms. That sounds really good. Okay, well, this came out on April 11th, and I've lost a little bit of track of time, as you do when you have a guest. I've lost a little bit of track of time, but I'm pretty sure that April 11th has passed. So this is out. It won't be in your bookstores because it's an indie published book. Burgundy Bend seems like it's the name of the publisher. And this, oh wow, oh how wonderful! This is Lisa Speranza's debut novel. Fantastic. A lot of research. Sounds like a lot of research went into this. You know the drill already. If this interests you, unfortunately, the one thing that indie publishers don't have is brick and mortar store distribution. But you know that it exists and it has an ISBN, so you can go into your brick and mortar store and ask for it. You can order it, and you can also get your library to get a copy, I guess. Fantastic. I'm gonna have to see if I'm slated to review this thing. And if I'm not, I'd kind of like to. Great. All right. Well, that's our mail. That's our mail for today. We have a finished copy of Unsettled Land. That has to go on the reading for tonight, probably. And then short stories and historical fiction. Valleyesque and The Italian Prisoner. Wonderful. Okay, great. Well, that did cheer me up a little. The Bean and I still have some adjusting to do. The place is going to seem very quiet tonight. And for the next few days, until we get back into the rhythm of things. It's just the way of it. It's the downside. The one downside for me of having guests is that when they're gone, you miss them. So I'll adjust. But I don't think I'm going to make any more videos today. You'll be back to your normal barrage tomorrow. So I'm going to wrap this up for now. But I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.